My sister Hannah called me from 35,000 feet, her voice shaking in a way I'd never heard before. Lola, I need you to look at your husband right now. Tell me he's standing right in front of you. I glanced across our penthouse living room where Dexter sat reading the Wall Street Journal, coffee in hand, exactly where he'd been for the past hour. Yes, I said slowly. He's right here. The silence on the other end felt like falling. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're a subscriber, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. Then Hannah whispered the words that would shatter everything I thought I knew. That's impossible, because I'm looking at him right now. First class, seat 2A, Dubai-bound flight, and Lola. I recorded everything. He's with someone else. Behind me, Dexter looked up and smiled, asking who was calling so early on a Saturday morning. Let me back up and tell you how my perfect life became a crime scene in under 3 minutes. Saturday morning in our Chicago penthouse usually followed the same rhythm. Dexter would wake at 6, make his precision-timed espresso, settle into his leather chair overlooking Lake Michigan, and read the financial news until 8. I'd sleep in until 7:30, make my green smoothie, and we'd have breakfast together before he left for his tennis match at the East Bank Club. 7 years of marriage had created these patterns. We were comfortable. Predictable. Or so I thought. I was standing in our kitchen that morning, still in my silk pajama set, watching the sunrise paint the lake in shades of pink and gold. My phone rang at 7:47 a.m. Hannah's name flashed across the screen, which was odd because she was supposed to be working the Dubai route that morning. She's a senior captain for Skyward International Airlines, and Saturday mornings meant she was usually somewhere over the Atlantic. Han? I answered, surprised. Aren't you supposed to be? Lola. Her voice cut through, sharp and urgent in a way that made my chest tighten. I need you to do something strange. Don't ask questions yet. Just, is Dexter home right now? I turned to look through the archway into our living room. There he sat, exactly as he had for the past hour. Gray cashmere sweater, reading glasses perched on his nose, the newspaper folded to the business section. His coffee mug, the one I'd gotten him from our Amalfi Coast trip with "World's Most Boring Husband" printed on it, sat on the side table within easy reach. Yes, I said, confused. He's in the living room. Why? What's going on? The pause that followed felt wrong. Like the moment before a car crash when time slows down and you know something terrible is about to happen but you can't stop it. Lola, that can't be true. Hannah's voice dropped to barely above a whisper, and I could hear the distinct hum of aircraft engines in the background. Because I'm standing in the galley of Flight 2847 to Dubai right now, and I just watched your husband board this plane 10 minutes ago. First class, seat 2A. He's with a woman I've never seen before. My hand tightened around the phone. Hannah, that's not possible. Dexter is literally sitting. I know what I saw, Lola. I've known Dexter for 7 years. I watched him help carry bags, heard him laugh at something she said, saw him touch her back as they walked down the jetway. Her voice cracked slightly. And I recorded it. All of it. I'm sending you the video right now. My phone buzzed against my ear. A notification appeared, video from Hannah. Wait, I said, my mind trying to make sense of what couldn't make sense. You're saying you saw Dexter get on a plane to Dubai? Right now. This morning. Not just saw him. Watched him. Spoke to him. He walked right past me, Lola. Made eye contact. He looked different somehow. More relaxed maybe? But it was definitely him. I pulled the phone away from my ear and opened the video with shaking fingers. The footage was shaky but clear, shot from what looked like the galley area of a wide-body aircraft. The timestamp read 7:23 a.m., 24 minutes ago. There, walking down the first-class aisle, was my husband. Same height. Same build. Same way of carrying himself with that particular combination of confidence and casual elegance that had first attracted me at a charity gala 8 years ago. He wore a navy Tom Ford suit I recognized, the one he'd bought for the Claremont merger closing last month. His salt and pepper hair was styled exactly the way he wore it. Even the way he gestured while talking to the blonde woman beside him was unmistakably Dexter. The woman looked young, maybe late 20s, with platinum hair styled in loose waves. She wore designer everything. I could spot a Chanel jacket from a mile away. Her hand rested on his arm with casual intimacy as they found their seats. He helped her with her carry-on, leaning close to say something that made her laugh. I watched the video 3 times, my heart hammering against my ribs. Then I looked up at the man in my living room, the man who was supposed to be my husband, sitting in the exact spot he'd occupied all morning. One of these Dexters was real. Which meant one of them was impossible. Lola? Are you still there? Hannah's voice pulled me back from the edge of panic. I forced myself to breathe. 7 years as a patent attorney, plus my stint in forensic accounting before law school, had taught me to think clearly under pressure, to compartmentalize emotion and focus on facts. Right now, I needed facts. I'm here, I said quietly, watching the man in my living room turn a page of his newspaper. Hannah, where exactly are you right now? We're still at the gate. We have a 10-minute delay for final boarding checks. Lola, I can go talk to him. I can confront. No. The word came out sharper than I intended. Don't do anything. Don't let him know you saw him. Just, keep recording if you can. Anything unusual. Who he talks to, what he does, everything. What are you going to do? Good question. What do you do when your husband exists in 2 places simultaneously? When the man who's been sleeping beside you might not be the man you married? I don't know yet, I admitted. But Hannah, if that's really Dexter on your plane, then who the hell is sitting in my living room? After I hung up, I stood in the kitchen for a long moment, gripping the marble counter to steady myself. My reflection stared back at me from the window, 38 years old, auburn hair still messy from sleep, green eyes wide with something between fear and disbelief. I heard footsteps behind me. Everything okay? Dexter's voice, warm and familiar, with that slight southern drawl he'd never quite lost despite 20 years in Chicago. You look pale, sweetheart. I turned to face him, studying every detail with new eyes. The way he stood with his weight slightly on his left leg, a habit from an old college basketball injury. The small scar above his right eyebrow from a childhood bike accident. The exact shade of his eyes, that unusual gray-blue that changed with his mood. Everything was perfect. Everything was right. Except my sister just watched this same man board a plane to Dubai. Just Hannah, I said, surprised at how normal my voice sounded. Pre-flight jitters. You know how she gets. He smiled, moving toward the coffee maker. She's been flying for 12 years. You'd think she'd be over the jitters by now. He poured himself a refill, added exactly 1 sugar cube, no cream. Just like he always did. Just like he'd done every morning for 7 years. When's your tennis game? I asked, watching him carefully. 11 o'clock. Same as every Saturday. He glanced at his watch, a vintage Omega I'd given him for our 7th anniversary last month. Why? Want to come watch me lose to Henderson again? This was exactly what the real Dexter would say. Bill Henderson from his firm beat him at tennis every weekend, and Dexter always joked about it. He had the same self-deprecating humor, the same easy manner, the same everything. My phone buzzed. Another video from Hannah. I'm going to take a shower, I announced abruptly. Long one. That new bath oil from the spa. Dexter raised an eyebrow. On a Saturday morning? You usually wait until evening. True. He knew my routines as well as I knew his. Which meant whoever, or whatever, this was had studied us both very carefully. Feeling indulgent, I said with a smile that felt like it might crack my face. Don't wait for me for breakfast. In the bathroom with the door locked and the shower running to cover any sound, I opened Hannah's second video. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. This one showed Dexter and the blonde woman settling into their seats. He was helping her with a blanket, accepting champagne from a flight attendant, laughing at something on his phone. The intimacy between them wasn't sexual, it was something worse. It was comfortable. Familiar. Like they'd done this before. I screenshot several frames, zooming in on details. The suit was definitely his. I could see the custom monogram on the cuff, DBO. Dexter Bronte Auto. The watch on his wrist was the same Omega. Even the way he held his champagne glass, pinched between thumb and forefinger, was exactly right. I pulled up our shared calendar on my phone. Today's entry for Dexter, tennis, East Bank Club, 11 a.m. Nothing about Dubai. Nothing about travel. I checked his work calendar that he'd given me access to years ago. Same thing. No trip scheduled. Then I opened our banking app and checked our credit cards. My hands wouldn't stay steady as I scrolled through the charges. There it was. A charge from this morning. 6:47 a.m. Skyward International Airlines. First class ticket to Dubai. $8,400. The shower water beat against the tiles as I stared at the proof on my screen. Someone had bought a first-class ticket to Dubai using our joint credit card while the man claiming to be my husband sat in our living room reading the newspaper. I stayed in that bathroom for 40 minutes, the water running while I systematically went through every digital trace of our life together. Banking apps, credit cards, phone records, email accounts, everything I could access without alerting whoever was sitting in my living room that I was digging. The Dubai ticket was just the beginning. There were hotel charges I didn't recognize. The Atlantis, the Palm, a 5-night stay starting today, booked for 2 guests. $12,000 charged to our account 3 weeks ago. I would have noticed that kind of charge. I balanced our accounts every month, down to the penny. Patent law paid well, but I wasn't careless with money. I scrolled further back. More hotels. Singapore. London. Barcelona. All within the past 6 months, all during times when Dexter had supposedly been home with me. Or had he? I tried to remember the last 6 months clearly. Had there been weekends I couldn't account for? Business trips that seemed off? The problem was that our life had been so routine, so predictable, that the days blurred together. Tennis on Saturdays. Dinner at Gibson's on Fridays. Sunday mornings at the farmer's market. The comfortable patterns of a long marriage. But maybe that comfort had been an illusion. Maybe I'd been so busy with my own cases, the Henderson patent dispute, the Millbrook litigation, the endless depositions and court filings, that I hadn't noticed my husband living an entire second life. Or maybe the man in my living room wasn't my husband at all. I turned off the shower and dried off slowly, buying time to think. When I emerged, wrapped in my robe with my hair in a towel, Dexter was exactly where I'd left him. Still reading. Still drinking coffee. A statue of domestic normalcy. Feel better? He asked without looking up. Much better. I moved to the kitchen and started making breakfast. I was thinking we should do something different today. Skip tennis. Drive up to Lake Geneva maybe? We haven't been to the house in months. He looked up, and for just a fraction of a second, I saw something flicker across his face. Confusion? Panic? It vanished so quickly I might have imagined it. Lake Geneva? He set down his newspaper. In November? Honey, it's freezing up there. And I already confirmed with Henderson. The real Dexter loved Lake Geneva, even in winter. He'd proposed to me there on a frozen dock in January, insisting the cold made it more romantic. We'd spent every anniversary there until 2 years ago when his mother got sick and we'd started spending more time in Atlanta instead. You're right, I said, cracking eggs into a pan. Silly idea. What was I thinking? I decided to make his favorite breakfast, eggs Benedict with smoked salmon. The real Dexter had been obsessed with it ever since we'd had it at a bed and breakfast in Maine during our honeymoon. He'd made me learn the recipe, spent months perfecting his own version, turned it into a Sunday morning ritual. But that was before his gallbladder surgery 2 years ago. After that, rich foods made him violently sick. Hollandaise sauce especially. He'd been devastated about giving up his beloved eggs Benedict. I'd watched him doubled over in pain the one time he'd tried to cheat, 6 months after the surgery. I plated the food carefully, making it look perfect. The hollandaise was thick and buttery, the salmon pink and glistening. I set it in front of him with a smile. "Your favorite," I said sweetly. He looked at the plate, and I watched his face carefully. A normal person who couldn't eat something would hesitate. Make excuses. Show some sign of reluctance. He picked up his fork immediately. "You're amazing," he said, cutting into the eggs. "I've been craving this." I watched him take a bite. Then another. He ate half the plate before looking up with a satisfied smile. "Perfect as always. You should make this more often." The real Dexter would be doubled over in pain right now. The gallbladder surgery had been serious, complications, infection, weeks of recovery. His doctor had been explicit, no rich, fatty foods. Especially not hollandaise sauce. This man ate it like it was perfectly normal. I sat down across from him with my own plate, forcing myself to eat while my mind raced. "So, tennis at 11. What time will you be home?" "Probably around 2. "Why?" "Just wondering. I thought maybe we could catch that new exhibition at the Art Institute. The one you mentioned wanting to see." Dexter had never mentioned any exhibition. The real Dexter hated art museums, claimed they made him feel uncultured and fidgety. "That sounds great," he said enthusiastically. "I've been wanting to check that out." I excused myself and went to the bedroom, closing the door carefully behind me. My phone showed 3 more videos from Hannah. I opened them one by one. The plane had taken off. Dexter and the blonde woman were settled in for the 14-hour flight to Dubai. In one video, she was asleep on his shoulder. In another, they were both laughing at something on a tablet screen between them. I looked at our bed, made perfectly with the expensive linens we'd bought in Italy. How many nights had I slept next to a stranger? The moment Dexter left for his tennis game, or wherever he was actually going, I made 2 phone calls that would change everything. The first was to Samantha Leroy, my law school roommate who'd abandoned corporate law 5 years ago for what she called private investigations for people who can afford the truth. Her divorce from a tech executive who'd been embezzling from his own company had transformed her from trusts and estates attorney into someone who specialized in digging up secrets that people paid millions to keep buried. "Lola Claremont," she answered on the first ring. "It's been what, 6 months? Please tell me you're finally taking me up on that spa weekend." "Sam, I need your help. Professional help. And I need it today." The tone of my voice must have conveyed the urgency because she didn't hesitate. "I'm 20 minutes away. Put on coffee." The second call was to my sister. "Hannah, are you in Dubai yet?" "Still 6 hours out." I could hear the concern in her voice. "Lola, I've been recording everything I can without being obvious." He's been on his laptop most of the flight, and that woman keeps showing him things on her phone. They look like, I don't know, documents? Photos? It's hard to tell from here. Keep recording. "And Hannah? When you land, I need you to follow them if you can. See where they go. But don't let them see you." "Lola, what's going on? Who was in your apartment this morning?" "I don't know yet. But I'm going to find out." Samantha arrived 17 minutes later, carrying a sleek aluminum briefcase that looked more like something from a spy movie than a legal consultation. She'd cut her dark hair short since I'd last seen her, and she wore all black, tactical chic, she called it. "Show me everything," she said, setting up her laptop on my dining room table without preamble. I walked her through it all. The phone call from Hannah. The videos. The credit card charges. The breakfast test. She listened without interrupting, her fingers flying across her keyboard, pulling up databases and programs I didn't recognize. The Eggs Benedict test was smart, she said finally. Medical conditions are hard to fake. So either this guy didn't do his homework, or he's not trying to fool a doctor. He's only trying to fool you. What does that mean? It means whoever this is, they studied Dexter's daily behavior but not his medical history. They know how he takes his coffee, what newspaper he reads, his tennis schedule. But they don't know about the gallbladder surgery because that's not something that comes up in daily routine. She handed me something that looked like a regular phone charger. Walk through your place with this. It'll beep if there are cameras or bugs or anything transmitting signals. I took the device, my pulse hammering. You think he's been watching me? If someone went to the trouble of replacing your husband, they're definitely watching you. They need to know if their performance is working. The device led me through our penthouse like a treasure hunt of betrayal. I found the first camera hidden in the living room bookshelf, disguised as a book spine. The second was in our bedroom, tucked into a smoke detector. The third in my home office, inside a desk lamp. By the time I finished, we'd found 8 devices total. 8 different angles watching my entire life. Don't disable them, Samantha warned. If they go offline, whoever's monitoring will know you found them. We need to use this. Make them think everything's normal while we dig deeper. She pulled up our bank accounts, all of them, including ones I didn't know we had. See this? These are shell accounts. Same bank as your primary checking, but separate. Money's been moving in and out for months. Small amounts at first, then larger. The numbers made me feel sick. $15,000 here. $30,000 there. Transfers to accounts in the Cayman Islands, Switzerland, Singapore. Over the past 6 months, nearly $800,000 had been systematically drained from our joint savings. But I checked these accounts, I protested. I would have seen. You check the accounts they let you see. Look. She clicked through screens showing the real transaction history versus what appeared in my normal login. Someone's been using sophisticated software to show you edited versions. Everything looks normal in your view, but the real money is moving elsewhere. Who has access to do that? Someone with serious technical resources. Or someone inside the bank. She pulled up another screen. But here's what's interesting. Look at this pattern. She highlighted a series of withdrawals, each exactly $9,999. That's just under the $10,000 federal reporting threshold. Classic money laundering technique. Whoever's doing this knows banking regulations and is deliberately staying under the radar. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Check your husband's gym bag. I looked at Samantha. Did you send this? She shook her head, already tracing the number. Burner phone. Untraceable. But someone wants you to find something. Dexter's gym bag sat in its usual spot beside our bedroom closet, a black leather duffel from Toomey that he'd had for years. I'd packed it myself dozens of times, knew every pocket and compartment. But now, standing over it with Samantha watching from the doorway, it felt like evidence in a case I was building against my own life. I unzipped it slowly. Tennis clothes on top, exactly as they should be. His racket, a can of balls, a towel. Everything normal. Nothing out of place. Then I found the interior zipper pocket I'd never paid attention to before. Inside was a passport. I opened it, and my breath caught. The photo showed Dexter, or someone who looked exactly like him, but the name read Marcus Hayden. British passport, issued 2 years ago. Stamps from Dubai, Singapore, London, all matching the mysterious hotel charges I'd found. Beneath the passport was a thick envelope. I pulled out the contents carefully. Cash. Lots of it. Bound stacks of $100 bills, maybe $50,000 total. And underneath that, a burner phone, still powered on. Don't touch it directly, Samantha warned, pulling latex gloves from her briefcase. She handed me a pair, then carefully took the phone, scrolling through its contents. Her expression darkened. Lola, look at this. The phone contained a single contact saved as client. The message thread made ice flood my veins. Client, status report? Marcus, she suspects nothing. Performance holding steady. Client, good. Dubai extraction in 48 hours. Maintain cover until final transfer. Marcus, what about after? You promised clean exit. Client, you'll get your money when the job is complete. Don't deviate from the script. The messages went back 3 months. 3 months of someone named Marcus Hayden pretending to be my husband while the real Dexter did, what? Planned his escape to Dubai with a blonde woman and $800,000 of our money? There's more, Samantha said, pulling up the phone's photo gallery. You need to see this. The photos were like looking at documentation for a role in a play. Pictures of Dexter from every angle. Screenshots of our social media posts. Photos of our apartment, our bedroom, even pictures of me that I'd never known were being taken. Candid shots of me leaving for work, grocery shopping, having lunch with colleagues. And then there were the instruction documents. PDFs with detailed notes. Morning routine, wakes at 6 a.m., espresso first, reads Wall Street Journal business section. Coffee mug rotation, alternates between 3 favorites. Never drinks from the promotional mugs in back of cabinet. Speech patterns, uses sweetheart and honey interchangeably. Southern drawl more pronounced when relaxed. Laughs at own jokes even when they're not funny. Physical mannerisms, favors left leg when standing, old basketball injury. Adjusts watch frequently. Rubs right eyebrow when thinking. Someone had created an entire dossier on my husband's behavior, down to microscopic details I'd never consciously noticed but would have registered if they were wrong. This is professional, Samantha said quietly. This isn't just some affair or identity theft. This is a coordinated operation with serious money behind it. I kept reading, the room tilting around me with each new page. Lola's vulnerabilities, trusts easily once comfortable. Works long hours, often distracted. Close relationship with sister Hannah, pilot. Parents deceased, father 2019, mother 2021. No other immediate family. Friends circle small and infrequent contact. They'd analyzed me like I was a mark in a con. Identified my weaknesses, my blind spots, the exact ways to keep me unsuspecting while they systematically destroyed my life. Who is the client? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Samantha was already typing on her laptop, running searches, pulling up databases. That's what we need to figure out. But Lola, whoever it is, they have resources. This level of surveillance, the banking access, hiring a professional impersonator, we're talking about someone with serious money and connections. My phone rang. Hannah's name flashed across the screen. We just landed, she said without preamble. And Lola, you're not going to believe this. I followed them through customs from a distance. The woman he's with? She went through the diplomatic line. She has some kind of credentials that let her skip regular security. Diplomatic credentials? What does that mean? It means she's either actually with the government, or she has connections powerful enough to fake it. Either way, this isn't just some random affair. Your husband is involved in something big. I looked at Samantha, who'd pulled up something new on her screen. Her face had gone pale. Lola, she said slowly. I just ran the name Marcus Hayden through my databases. He's a professional. Former MI6 operative turned private contractor. He specializes in deep cover identity work, usually for witness protection or corporate espionage. The going rate for someone with his skills is around $200,000 for a 3-month assignment. Someone paid $200,000 to replace my husband, I said, the reality settling over me like ice water. The question is, Samantha replied, did your husband hire him, or did someone else? We had maybe 2 hours before Marcus returned from his fake tennis game. 2 hours to search every corner of my life for answers before the performance resumed. Samantha set up a systematic approach. We document everything. Photos, videos, copies of documents. Chain of evidence, just like a legal case. Because that's exactly what this is going to become. I started with Dexter's home office while Samantha worked on cracking his personal laptop. The office was exactly as he'd left it, mahogany desk imported from England, diplomas from Duke and Wharton on the walls, family photos strategically placed to project successful domesticity. Everything curated. Everything perfect. I'd been in this room 1,000 times, but I'd never really looked. Not with the eyes of someone searching for lies. The desk drawers revealed the expected items at first. Business cards, letterhead from Otto and Associates where he worked as a financial consultant, tax documents, investment portfolios. All legitimate. All boring. Then I found the false bottom in the third drawer. My father had been a carpenter before he died, taught me how to spot quality woodwork. The drawer was slightly shallower than it should be, maybe 2 inches of missing depth. I pressed along the edges until I heard a soft click. The hidden compartment contained a second phone, this one more sophisticated than the burner in the gym bag. And a leather journal, the kind with a lock. The lock was good, but not good enough. I used a letter opener to jimmy it free. The journal was in Dexter's handwriting. I'd know it anywhere, the distinctive slant, the way he formed his capital letters. But the content was nothing I recognized. Month 1, subject shows no signs of awareness. Marcus performing adequately though still too cautious with physical contact. Need to push him to be more convincing. L works late 3 nights a week, optimal windows for document access. Month 2, nearly compromised when M forgot about the Lake Geneva house. Need to remind him to review materials daily. L mentions sister visiting next month, potential complication. May need to adjust timeline. Month 3, transfer protocols in place. Dubai accounts ready. V has secured necessary documentation. Final extraction November 18th, M's contract expires, final payment on completion. Insurance policy activated if complications arise. Today was November 18th. Samantha, I called out, my voice shaking. I need you to see this. She came into the office, read over my shoulder. Her jaw tightened. He's been documenting his own crime. This is either incredibly arrogant or he never expected you to find it. Which means he's so confident in this plan that he's not worried about evidence. She photographed each page methodically. Who's V? No idea. But whoever she is, she's in Dubai with him right now. The second phone required a passcode, but Samantha had tools for that. Within 3 minutes, she'd bypassed the security. The phone contained encrypted messaging apps, but she had tools for those too. Your friend is very well prepared, I observed. My ex-husband taught me that paranoia and preparation are the same thing from different angles. She pulled up the messages. Here. This is the main thread. The conversation was between Dexter and someone labeled V, Dubai. V, Hayden is getting nervous. Says the wife is acting different. Dexter, she's always paranoid. Marcus needs to hold the line for 48 more hours. V, and if he breaks? Dexter, that's why we have the insurance policy. But it won't come to that. Lola trusts easily. She always has. V, you're certain about the patent transfers? Dexter, her login credentials are solid. All 3 pending patents will be reassigned before she realizes what's happening. By the time anyone investigates, we'll be untouchable. V, the Singapore firm is ready to receive $3.2 million upon confirmation. Dexter, exactly as planned. 7 years of marriage, and she never suspected I married her for access to her work. I had to read that last line 3 times before it fully registered. 7 years. Our entire marriage. Everything I thought we'd built together. He'd married me to steal my patents. I was a patent attorney specializing in biotechnology and pharmaceutical innovations. My clients were major research hospitals and drug companies. I'd personally overseen patent applications worth hundreds of millions in potential revenue. And I'd been bringing work home for years, storing files on my secure home network, never thinking twice about it. Never imagining the biggest threat was the guy sleeping next to me. Lola, sit down. Samantha guided me to the desk chair. Breathe. I need you focused. He married me to rob me, I whispered. 7 years. Our wedding, our home, everything. It was all just a long con. Yes. And now we're going to dismantle it piece by piece. Her voice was steel. How many patents are we talking about? I forced my brain to shift into professional mode. Currently, 3 pending applications. Breakthrough cancer treatments, gene therapy protocols. If someone could get control of those patents before they're officially registered, they could sell them to the highest bidder, Samantha finished. How much are we talking? Conservatively? 50 million. Maybe more. Samantha pulled up a new screen on her laptop, her fingers flying across the keyboard with practiced efficiency. If he's planning to transfer patents worth 50 million, there's a paper trail. There has to be. Nobody moves that kind of intellectual property without leaving digital footprints. She was right. And I knew exactly where to look. My home office was across the hall, smaller than Dexter's, but filled with filing cabinets containing 7 years of case files, client documents, and patent applications. I'd always been meticulous about security. Encrypted hard drives, password-protected files, 2-factor authentication on everything. But I'd made one critical mistake. I'd trusted my husband. I logged into my secure work server, gripping the edge of my desk to stay grounded. The system showed recent access logs. My username, my credentials, but login times that made no sense. 3 a.m. last Tuesday when I'd been sound asleep. 2:30 a.m. the week before. Multiple entries over the past 3 months, all during hours when I'd been unconscious in bed next to Marcus Hayden. He's been using my credentials while I slept, I said, pulling up the activity logs. Look at this. He accessed the Henderson cancer treatment patent file 17 times. The Morrison gene therapy protocols 12 times. The Blackwell immunotherapy research 9 times. Samantha leaned over my shoulder. What did he access specifically? I clicked through the logs, each new discovery making me feel sicker. Everything. Full patent applications, research data, clinical trial results, licensing agreements. Everything needed to file competing patents or sell the information to pharmaceutical companies. Can you tell if he downloaded anything? I pulled up the download history. Hundreds of files. Gigabytes of data. My entire professional life, systematically stolen and copied to external drives over 3 months of nights when I'd been sleeping next to a stranger. He took everything, I whispered. 7 years of work. My client's proprietary research. Billions in potential drug development. All of it gone. But Samantha was already tracking something else. Look at this. He wasn't just downloading to external drives. He was uploading to a cloud server. She ran a trace on the IP address. Singapore. The server is registered to a company called Meridian Biotech Solutions. I'd never heard of them, but a quick search revealed a small pharmaceutical consulting firm based in Singapore with suspiciously vague credentials and a website that looked professional but contained almost no real information. Shell company, Samantha confirmed. Registered 8 months ago. Right around the time Dexter started planning all this. She dug deeper, pulling up corporate registration documents, financial records, shipping manifests. The picture that emerged was elaborate and damning. Meridian Biotech Solutions was owned by a holding company in the Cayman Islands. That company was owned by another company in Switzerland. That company was owned by a trust in Luxembourg. And at the end of that convoluted chain of ownership was a name, Vanessa Klaus. Who is Vanessa Klaus? I asked. Samantha pulled up a photo. Platinum blonde hair. Designer clothes. The woman from Hannah's videos. The woman sitting next to my husband in first class to Dubai. According to her LinkedIn profile, she's a pharmaceutical acquisitions consultant. But that's a cover story. Look at her real background. Samantha pulled up documents from databases I didn't want to know how she accessed. Former executive at 3 major drug companies, all of which fired her for ethics violations. She specializes in acquiring patents through questionable means and selling them to Chinese and Russian pharmaceutical manufacturers who don't care about U.S. intellectual property laws. So Dexter hired Marcus to impersonate him while he worked with Vanessa to steal my patents and sell them overseas, I said, the full scope of the betrayal crystallizing. And they're planning to finalize everything in Dubai because Dubai has no extradition treaty with the United States, Samantha finished. Once they're there with the patents transferred and the money in offshore accounts, they're untouchable. They can live like royalty in a country that won't send them back to face charges. My phone buzzed. Another text from the unknown number. Check your life insurance policy. You're worth more dead than divorced. The room went cold. Samantha, what does that mean? She was already pulling up our insurance documents, her face going pale as she read. Lola, you have a $5 million life insurance policy. When did you get this? I don't have I stopped. Wait. Dexter said we should get life insurance after his mother died. He handled all the paperwork. Said it was standard financial planning. This policy is 3 years old. Beneficiary is Dexter Bronte Auto. And there's a double indemnity clause. If you die in an accident, the payout doubles to $10 million. She looked up at me, her expression grim. Lola, he's not just planning to rob you. The insurance policy mentioned in his journal isn't about covering his tracks. It's about making sure you can't come after him. My phone rang. Hannah's name. I answered on speaker so Samantha could hear. Lola, I'm outside the Atlantis right now. They checked into a suite, the Royal Bridge Suite. I looked it up. It's $25,000 a night. Hannah's voice was breathless, like she'd been running. But that's not the important part. I followed them to a meeting in the hotel's business center. There were 3 other people there. Asian men in expensive suits. They had briefcases, and I saw one of them hand Dexter what looked like a check. Did you record it? Everything. I'm sending it now. But Lola, one of the men. I recognized him from the news. Chen Wei, CEO of Shanghai Biogen. They were involved in that scandal last year about stealing American pharmaceutical research. The video came through. The quality was grainy, Hannah had filmed through a glass partition, but clear enough. Dexter sat at a conference table looking relaxed and confident, nothing like the man who supposedly loved me. Vanessa Klaus sat beside him, presenting documents. The 3 Asian businessmen examined papers, nodded, passed around what looked like contracts. Then Chen Wei handed Dexter an envelope. Even through the grainy footage, I could see it was thick. Dexter opened it, examined the contents, definitely a check, and smiled. They shook hands. The meeting had the air of a done deal. They're celebrating, Hannah continued. Champagne just arrived. Dexter's laughing like he doesn't have a care in the world. Like he didn't just destroy his wife's entire life. Samantha was already on her laptop, pulling up information about Chen Wei and Shanghai Biogen. This company has been flagged by the FBI for intellectual property theft. They're known for buying stolen American patents and manufacturing drugs without proper licensing. If Dexter sold your patents to them, those cancer treatments will be produced in facilities with no FDA oversight, I finished. Potentially dangerous drugs flooding markets in Asia, Africa, anywhere they can sell them. People could die from improperly manufactured versions of treatments that took years to develop safely. It wasn't just about the money anymore. This was about patient safety, about years of careful research being corrupted for profit. My phone buzzed again. The unknown number, Marcus returns in 30 minutes. Recording device in bedroom lamp will capture everything tonight. Make him think you suspect nothing. Who keeps texting you? Samantha asked. I don't know. But they're helping us. I looked at the message again. They want me to act normal when Marcus gets back. To be recorded suspecting nothing. It's a trap, Samantha said immediately. If Marcus is supposed to stage your accident, they need footage of you acting normally beforehand. Proof that you weren't suspicious, that there was no reason for you to hurt yourself or be afraid. It establishes their narrative. So what do I do? She thought for a moment, then smiled, a cold, calculated expression I'd never seen on her before. You give them exactly what they want. You play the unsuspecting wife perfectly. But we make some modifications they won't see coming. Over the next 20 minutes, Samantha worked with frightening efficiency. She accessed the hidden cameras throughout the apartment, not to disable them, but to hack into their feed. Whoever's monitoring these is seeing a live feed, she explained. But now I can also see what they see. And more importantly, I can record everything from their perspective. When this goes to court, we'll have proof they were surveilling you. She set up her own recording devices, hidden in places Marcus wouldn't think to look. My laptop, positioned to capture the bedroom. My phone, propped on the bathroom counter. A small camera hidden in my purse. You're going to document everything he does tonight. Every word, every action. If he tries anything, we'll have multiple angles of evidence. Hannah called back. They're leaving the meeting now. Headed back to their suite. Lola, I heard Dexter on the phone in the lobby. He said, it's done. Trigger the final protocol tonight. What does that mean? Final protocol. The insurance policy. Tonight. Hannah, I need you to do something. Get on the next flight back to Chicago. I need you here. I'm already booked. Flight leaves in 3 hours, gets to O'Hare at 6 a.m. your time. I'll come straight to your apartment. No. Don't come here. I gave her Samantha's address instead. If something happens to me, you and Sam need to have all this evidence. Promise me. Lola, you're scaring me. What are you planning? I'm planning to end this, I said. One way or another. After I hung up, Samantha pulled up a new screen. I've been tracking Marcus's phone. He's not at the East Bank Club. He's at a storage facility in Bridgeport. He's been there for the past 90 minutes. What's he doing there? I don't know. But according to GPS, he's heading back now. You have 15 minutes. I looked around our penthouse, the home I'd thought we'd built together, now revealed as an elaborate stage set for a performance that was about to reach its final act. Tell me exactly what to do, I said to Samantha. Because when Marcus walks through that door, I need to be perfect. Samantha and I had 12 minutes before Marcus returned. 12 minutes to transform from investigators into actors in a play where the stakes were my life. First rule, Samantha said, packing up her equipment with practiced speed. You know nothing. You're the loving, trusting wife who had a nice quiet morning at home. You're maybe a little tired from work stress, maybe looking forward to a relaxing weekend. Normal. Boring. Unsuspecting. I can do that, I said, though my pulse hammered in my throat. Second rule, no matter what he says or does tonight, you stay calm. If he suggests going somewhere, you're tired and want to stay in. If he offers you food or drink, you're not hungry. Don't consume anything you didn't prepare yourself and watch him prepare. The implications of that made me feel sick. You really think he'd try to poison me? I think Marcus is a professional who's being paid to do a job, and that job ends tonight. I don't know what method they've planned, but it'll be something that looks like an accident. A fall, maybe. Carbon monoxide. Something that gives Dexter a clean $10 million and eliminates the only person who could expose him. She handed me a small device that looked like a Fitbit. This is a panic button. One click sends your location and an emergency alert to me and to 911. Keep it on your wrist all night. And this, she gave me a small vial. If he does manage to give you something, this is activated charcoal. It'll absorb most common poisons. Not perfect, but it buys time. This feels insane, I said, tucking the vial into my pocket. This morning I woke up thinking about what to make for dinner. Now I'm preparing for someone to try to kill me in my own home. Welcome to the club, Samantha said grimly. Now, here's what's going to happen tomorrow. You're going to call a meeting. Invite Marcus's supposed colleagues from Otto and Associates. Tell him you want to celebrate an early Thanksgiving, a casual Sunday brunch here at the apartment. Make it sound spontaneous and sweet. Why would I do that? Because we need witnesses. Lots of them. When this all comes apart, we need people who can testify about Marcus's behavior, who can identify him, who were present when law enforcement arrives. The more people in this apartment tomorrow, the harder it is for anyone to make you disappear quietly. She pulled up a contact list on her phone. I've already arranged for FBI Financial Crimes Division to be on standby. My contact there is Agent Rebecca Morrison. She's been tracking Vanessa Klaus for 2 years but could never get enough evidence to make charges stick. What you found, the patent theft, the international sale to Shanghai Biogen, the money laundering, it's everything she needs. Won't they want to wait? Build a bigger case? Not when there's an imminent threat to a victim's life. Not when the suspects are currently in a non-extradition country preparing to vanish forever. She's ready to move the moment I give her the signal. Samantha checked her watch. 5 minutes. I need to leave through the service entrance. Remember, you're tired, you're happy to see your husband, you want a quiet night in. Nothing more. She paused at the door. Lola, if anything feels wrong, anything at all, you click that panic button. Don't wait. Don't second guess. Just click it. After she left, I had 3 minutes to transform the apartment from crime scene back to home. I hid all our evidence, made sure nothing looked disturbed. Put away Samantha's coffee cup. Smoothed the cushions on the couch. Made everything perfect. Then I went to the bedroom and changed into comfortable clothes, leggings and an oversized sweater. The kind of thing I'd wear on a lazy Saturday afternoon. I pulled my hair into a messy bun, washed off my makeup. Became the version of myself that Marcus would expect to see. When I heard his key in the lock, I was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for a salad. Playing the role of contented wife. Hey, sweetheart, he called out, and I marveled at how easily that British accent rolled off his tongue. How many times had he practiced in front of a mirror? Sorry I'm late. Henderson kept wanting to go another set. No problem, I said, not turning around. Keeping my voice light. How'd you do? Lost as usual. That man's serve is impossible. He came into the kitchen, and I could smell something on him, not sweat from tennis, but something chemical. Something that made my instincts scream. He kissed my cheek, and I forced myself not to flinch. His lips felt cold. I was thinking, he said, moving to the refrigerator and pulling out a bottle of wine. We should celebrate tonight. Open that Chateau Margaux we've been saving. Order from that Italian place you love. Make it special. The Chateau Margaux was a $500 bottle we'd been keeping for our 7th anniversary next month. An anniversary we'd never reach. That sounds wonderful, I said, smiling at him. Let me just finish this salad, and we can relax. I watched him open the wine, watched him pour 2 glasses with careful precision. Watched him set mine on the counter within easy reach. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that whatever was in that glass wasn't just wine. I didn't drink the wine. Instead, I did what any normal wife would do, I got distracted. Knocked over the salt shaker reaching for my phone, made a fuss about the mess, moved my wine glass to wipe up the counter, and in the chaos of domesticity, accidentally switched our glasses when Marcus turned to grab paper towels. Clumsy today, I said with an embarrassed laugh, taking what had been his glass. Must be more tired than I thought. He smiled, but I saw something flicker in his eyes. Uncertainty. Had I switched them? Was he sure which glass was which? Actually, he said slowly, maybe we should save the Margot. I'm not feeling great. That last tennis set might have been too much. Of course. He wouldn't drink from either glass now, not when he couldn't be certain which was safe. You do look a little pale, I said, playing concerned. Why don't you lie down? I'll make us something light for dinner. Maybe in a bit. First, I was thinking we could take a walk. Get some air. The sunset over the lake should be beautiful right now. A walk. At dusk. Along the lakefront path where a tragic fall could be blamed on wet leaves and fading light. Where a mugging gone wrong wouldn't surprise anyone. Where bodies sometimes weren't found until morning. Actually, I invited some people over tomorrow, I said, as if the thought just occurred to me. Sunday brunch. I was hoping we could do a casual thing, your colleagues from the firm, maybe a few neighbors. Early Thanksgiving celebration. We haven't entertained in so long. I watched his face carefully. The suggestion clearly caught him off guard, disrupted whatever plan was unfolding. Tomorrow? That's short notice. I'm not sure. I already sent the texts while you were at tennis, I lied smoothly. Everyone's excited. Said they'd love to come. It'll be fun. Mimosas and that frittata recipe you love. I smiled at him warmly. We can make it a late brunch, 11 or so. Give us time to sleep in. He was trapped. Refusing would seem strange, would break character. The devoted husband wouldn't object to his wife's social planning. Of course, he said finally. Sounds great. Who's coming? The Pattersons from upstairs, your partners from Otto and Associates, the Chens from down the hall. Maybe 15 people total? Nothing fancy. I pulled out my phone and started texting for real now, following Samantha's plan. Each message carefully crafted to sound casual but ensure attendance. Hey. Spontaneous brunch tomorrow at 11? Would love to see you. The responses came quickly. Everyone loved last-minute invitations that felt exclusive and spontaneous. Marcus watched me text, his jaw tight. He was calculating, trying to figure out how this affected whatever timeline he was working against. In Dubai, Dexter and Vanessa were probably sleeping off champagne and success, confident that by tomorrow morning I'd be dead and Marcus would disappear with his final payment. I'm going to take a shower, Marcus said abruptly. Long one. Then maybe we just order pizza and watch something mindless on Netflix. Perfect, I agreed. The minute I heard the bathroom door close and water running, I grabbed both wine glasses and photographed them. Then I carefully poured the contents of my glass into a sealed container that Samantha had left me, labeling it with the time and date. Evidence. I texted Samantha, tomorrow 11 a.m. 15 confirmed guests. He knows something's wrong but can't back out without breaking cover. Her response was immediate, FBI will be there at 11:15. Agent Morrison is briefed. Hannah lands at 6 a.m., I'll pick her up and bring all evidence. Keep the panic button on you all night. Do not sleep. Do not sleep. Right. Because the moment I closed my eyes, Marcus could stage whatever accident they'd planned. I made a pot of coffee. Strong. I was going to need it. When Marcus emerged from the shower 45 minutes later, I'd already ordered pizza, set up a movie, and positioned myself on the couch in full view of the windows. If something happened to me, witnesses in other buildings would see. The hidden cameras would record. I'd made it as hard as possible to kill me quietly. Feeling better? I asked. Much. He settled beside me on the couch, maintaining the careful distance of a couple comfortable in their space. This is nice. Just us. Quiet. We watched some forgettable action movie, ate pizza from the box, performed the mundane rituals of marriage. But I felt his attention on me, assessing, calculating. He was trying to figure out what I knew, how much danger he was in. Around midnight, I faked a yawn. I'm exhausted. Think I'll head to bed. I'll be there in a bit. Want to finish this episode. I knew he wouldn't come to bed. He'd wait until he thought I was asleep, and then, what? I locked the bedroom door from inside, wedged a chair under the handle for good measure. Turned on every light. Settled into the chair by the window with my coffee and phone, the panic button on my wrist. Through the door, I heard Marcus moving around the apartment. Quiet sounds. The clink of glass. A phone call in hushed tones. Footsteps that paused outside my door. I didn't sleep. I waited for morning, when everything would finally end. Morning arrived with pale November light filtering through our bedroom windows. I'd spent the entire night in that chair, watching the door, jumping at every sound. Around 4 a.m., I'd heard Marcus moving around the kitchen. At 5, his footsteps had stopped outside my bedroom door again, and I'd gripped the panic button so hard it left an imprint on my palm. But he never tried to force his way in. Maybe because he knew the cameras were recording. Maybe because he was waiting for a better opportunity. Or maybe because somewhere in his professional calculations, he'd realized the plan was falling apart. At 6:30, my phone buzzed. Samantha, Hannah and I are 20 minutes out. FBI is staged nearby. Start getting ready for your guests. Act normal. I showered quickly, keeping my phone in a waterproof case on the sink, the bathroom door locked. Put on a casual but elegant outfit, dark jeans, a cream cashmere sweater. The kind of thing you'd wear to host a casual brunch. I applied makeup carefully, transforming my exhausted face into something that looked well-rested and happy. When I emerged, Marcus was in the kitchen making coffee. He looked tired too, shadows under his eyes that even his professional composure couldn't quite hide. You locked the bedroom door, he said without turning around. Did I? I kept my voice light, surprised. Must have done it without thinking. Old habit from when I lived alone. It wasn't. In 7 years of marriage, I'd never locked that door. He knew it. I knew it. The pretense was paper thin now. About this brunch, he started. I'm so excited. I interrupted, moving past him to the refrigerator. I already prepped the frittata ingredients last night. It'll be so nice to have people over. We've been hermits lately. I pulled out eggs, vegetables, cheese, began arranging everything on the counter with theatrical enthusiasm. Playing the role of excited hostess while my heart threatened to burst from my chest. My phone chimed. Text from Andrew Patterson, actually Samantha using a neighbor's name from our building directory. Looking forward to brunch. Bringing my sister who's in town visiting. Hope that's okay. The more the merrier. I texted back, then showed Marcus the exchange. The Pattersons are bringing his sister. Isn't that nice? Marcus's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. More witnesses. More complications. People started arriving at 10:45. The Chens from down the hall, an elderly couple I'd spoken to maybe twice in 7 years. Then, Mark Henderson, from Otto and Associates, actually an FBI agent whose credentials I'd seen in Samantha's briefing photos. Then, Robert and Catherine Williams, more agents. Each arrival brought more surveillance, more protection, more witnesses to whatever was about to unfold. At 11 o'clock, the Pattersons arrived with Andrew's sister, Hannah, wearing a dark wig and glasses, barely recognizable. Our eyes met across the room. She gave me the tiniest nod. At 11:10, Sarah Bennett arrived, Agent Rebecca Morrison herself, carrying a briefcase and wearing civilian clothes. She greeted Marcus with a firm handshake, introduced herself as a friend from my law school days. Lola's told me so much about you, Dexter, she said warmly. Finally meeting the famous husband. Marcus smiled, played his part, but I saw sweat on his forehead despite the apartment's comfortable temperature. The apartment filled with conversation, mimosas, the smell of frittata baking. It looked like a normal Sunday brunch. It felt like the walls closing in. At 11:15 exactly, there was a firm knock at the door. "I'll get it," Agent Morrison said before anyone else could move. She opened the door to reveal 4 more FBI agents in tactical gear, plus 2 Chicago PD detectives. "FBI," Morrison announced, her casual demeanor evaporating into professional authority. She pulled credentials from her briefcase. "Nobody move. Marcus Hayden, you're under arrest for fraud, identity theft, conspiracy to commit murder, and selling American secrets to foreign companies, which is about as illegal as it gets." The room erupted. Our guests immediately took control, securing exits, separating Marcus from potential weapons or escape routes. The real neighbors looked confused and frightened. The fake colleagues revealed themselves as law enforcement. Marcus stood frozen in the middle of our living room, his carefully maintained persona cracking like porcelain. His British accent slipped. "I want a lawyer. I'm not saying anything without." "That's your right," Morrison said. "But Mr. Hayden, we have everything. The surveillance footage you thought was private? We've been recording your recordings. The bank accounts? Frozen as of 6 a.m. The Dubai extraction? Your employers were arrested at their hotel 3 hours ago by Interpol working with UAE authorities." His face went white. "That's impossible." They were. In a non-extradition country? Dubai updated its cooperation agreements last month. Signed a new treaty on November 1st. Morrison smiled coldly. "Your intelligence was out of date." She turned to me. "Mrs. Otto, are you all right?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. Hannah crossed the room and pulled me into a fierce hug. "We need you to come to the field office," Morrison continued. "Give a formal statement." But first, she pulled out her phone, showing Marcus the screen. "Your employer is making a statement right now. Thought you might want to see how much loyalty $200,000 bought you." The video showed Dexter in handcuffs, being led through Dubai airport. A reporter's voiceover: "American financier arrested in international patent theft scheme worth an estimated $50 million. Marcus closed his eyes. "I want that lawyer now." The FBI field office in Chicago became my second home for the next 3 weeks. Endless depositions, evidence review, witness statements. Agent Morrison walked me through every detail of the case they'd built with remarkable speed once I'd provided the crucial documentation. "Your recordings were gold," she told me during one of our sessions. The hidden cameras Marcus thought were protecting him? They documented everything. His mistakes, his calls to Dexter, even him trying to access your bedroom that last night. Combined with the financial evidence and your sister's footage from Dubai, we have him on multiple federal charges. Marcus Hayden took a plea deal on week 2. In exchange for testimony against Dexter and Vanessa Klaus, he'd serve 8 years instead of 20. His lawyer argued he was a hired contractor who didn't fully understand the scope of the criminal enterprise. The judge was unsympathetic but practical. Marcus's testimony would be crucial in the larger case. I attended his sentencing hearing. Wanted to look him in the eye one more time. He looked smaller in the orange jumpsuit, stripped of Dexter's expensive clothes and practiced confidence. When he spoke, the British accent was completely gone, replaced by flat Midwestern vowels. "Mrs. Otto," he said during his statement to the court, "I know my apology means nothing. I participated in a scheme that destroyed your life, put you in danger, violated every trust. I told myself I was just playing a role, just doing a job. But I knew it was wrong. I knew from the first day, and I did it anyway because I needed the money." He paused, his voice cracking slightly. "For what it's worth, you're the strongest person I've ever met. The way you figured it out, set that trap, saved yourself when everyone expected you to be a victim, that took courage I don't have. I hope someday you can find peace." The judge sentenced him to 8 years in federal prison. As they led him away, he looked back once. I didn't acknowledge it. Whatever sympathy I might have felt for a desperate actor who made terrible choices was buried under the memory of that wine glass, the locked door, the night I'd spent convinced I wouldn't see morning. Dexter's case was more complicated. The UAE agreed to extradition, but it took 6 weeks of legal wrangling. His attorney, a high-priced team from New York, tried every delay tactic imaginable. I filed for divorce the day after his arrest. My attorney, a fierce woman named Claire Whitmore who specialized in fraud cases, made sure every asset was frozen, every account locked, every piece of property secured. He thought he was so clever, Claire said, reviewing the financial documents. But he made the classic mistake. He documented everything. That journal you found? It's a prosecutor's dream. He literally wrote down his plan to defraud you. The patent theft case drew international attention. Shanghai Biogen denied everything, claimed they were victims of fraud too, but internal emails proved they knew exactly what they were buying. 3 of their executives were indicted. The company's stock plummeted 40% in a single day. My clients, the research hospitals and pharmaceutical companies whose work had been compromised, were grateful but cautious. The Henderson Institute released a statement thanking me for preventing catastrophic intellectual property theft. Morrison Genetics offered me a position as their chief security officer. Blackwell Pharmaceuticals sent a fruit basket and a check for $50,000 as a consulting fee that everyone understood was really compensation for nearly losing everything. The divorce settlement took 4 months to finalize. Dexter's assets, including money I didn't know existed, were substantial. His parents' estate, investment accounts in his name only, property in Atlanta I'd never heard about. All of it was supposed to fund his new life with Vanessa. Instead, it funded my recovery. Claire negotiated brilliantly. I received the Chicago penthouse, the Lake Geneva house, 70% of all marital assets, and, most importantly, control of all my patents, with ironclad protections ensuring they could never be contested. He's contesting the settlement, Claire warned me. Claims you're entitled to only 50% under Illinois law. Let him contest, I said. He can argue from prison. Dexter's trial was scheduled for the following spring. Federal prosecutors felt confident: fraud, conspiracy, attempted murder for hire, selling American secrets to foreign companies. Combined, he was looking at 30 years minimum. Vanessa Klaus took a deal. 20 years in exchange for testimony detailing the entire operation. Turned out she'd been running similar schemes across the country, identifying successful professional women with valuable intellectual property, then recruiting their husbands as inside men. I was target number 7. How many succeeded? I asked Morrison. 3. The others we're investigating now. You exposing this scheme potentially saved millions in stolen patents and prevented who knows how many accidental deaths. I received a letter from Vanessa's attorney 6 months after her sentencing. She'd written it from FCI Alderson, the federal women's prison in West Virginia. Mrs. Otto. You won't want to read this, but my attorney says I should try. Not for me, I know I deserve everything I got. But you should know that Dexter is still trying to hurt you. He's furious about the settlement, about the exposure, about losing control. In prison, he's been making calls, sending letters, looking for people who might be willing to finish what Marcus couldn't. I'm telling you this because you were smarter than me. Smarter than all of us. You saw the game and beat us at it. That takes respect. Watch your back. Even from prison, desperate men find ways to reach out. I showed the letter to Morrison. She assigned protective surveillance for 3 months until Dexter was transferred to a maximum security facility with more restrictions on communications. 18 months after that Saturday morning phone call from Hannah, I stood in a renovated loft in River North, watching contractors put the final touches on my new office. The brass nameplate beside the door read, Claremont Security Consulting, protecting innovation, empowering truth. The business had started almost by accident. A colleague from Morrison Genetics called me 3 months after Dexter's indictment, asked if I'd consult on their security protocols. Then another call from a pharmaceutical executive who'd read about my case and wondered if I could review her company's patent protection systems. Then a patent attorney from Seattle who suspected her law partner was stealing client information. Each case revealed the same patterns I'd learned to recognize in my own life. The small inconsistencies dismissed as paranoia. The trusted person with too much access. The sophisticated schemes hiding in plain sight behind the assumption that people you love wouldn't hurt you. I hired Samantha as my partner. Her investigative skills combined with my legal expertise created something powerful. We hired 3 more investigators, 2 cybersecurity specialists, and a former FBI forensic accountant. Within a year, we had a waiting list. "You're not just protecting patents anymore," Samantha observed one afternoon, reviewing our client roster. "You're protecting people." She was right. Half our clients came to us suspecting marital fraud. The other half were corporations worried about insider theft. But all of them shared the same wound, discovering that reality wasn't what they'd believed it to be. I had lunch with Hannah every Tuesday, our standing appointment. She'd taken a brief leave from flying after everything happened, but eventually went back. Said she needed the sky to feel grounded, which made no sense and perfect sense simultaneously. "I'm seeing someone," she mentioned casually over sushi at our usual place. "A doctor from Northwestern. Met him on a flight to Tokyo." "Hannah, that's wonderful. What's his name?" "Everett. Everett Leroy. He's a trauma surgeon." Which feels appropriate somehow. She smiled. "He knows everything." I told him the whole story on our second date. Figured if that scared him off, better to know early. And? He said anyone who could make a call that potentially saved her sister's life while maintaining composure at 35,000 feet was exactly the kind of person he wanted to know better. She paused. "You should meet him. Maybe dinner next week? Just the 3 of us?" I agreed, though the thought of dinner with a couple, any couple, still made me uncomfortable. Would I ever trust that kind of partnership again? Would I ever sleep soundly next to another person, confident they were who they claimed to be? My therapist, Dr. Sarah Chen, assured me these questions were normal. You experienced a profound betrayal. Not just infidelity, but an elaborate deception that threatened your life. That kind of trauma doesn't heal on a timeline. I'd been seeing her twice a week since everything happened. Learning to separate Dexter's choices from my worth. Understanding that I hadn't been stupid or blind, I'd been deliberately deceived by professionals using sophisticated techniques. There was no way I could have known earlier. I'd acted as quickly as humanly possible once I had information. Your instinct to investigate rather than immediately confront saved your life, Dr. Chen reminded me. You trusted your analytical skills. You built a case. You protected yourself. That's not weakness. That's survival intelligence. The penthouse sold for $3.2 million. I couldn't live there anymore, couldn't walk through rooms where Marcus had performed his 3-month show. Where cameras had watched my every movement. Where I'd nearly drunk poison from a wine glass. I bought a brownstone in Lincoln Park instead. Smaller, older, with a garden that needed work and character that felt earned rather than purchased. Hannah helped me move, along with Samantha and a few colleagues who'd become friends through shared crisis. New beginning, Hannah said, raising a glass of champagne in my empty living room on move-in day. To my brilliant sister who turned a nightmare into a mission. To family who answer phone calls from cockpits, I countered. We drank, and I felt something shift. Not healing exactly, that was still in progress. But transformation. The woman who'd stood in that Chicago penthouse kitchen 18 months ago, confused and frightened, no longer existed. She'd been replaced by someone harder, wiser, and paradoxically more open to truth. My phone rang. A potential client, referred by Morrison Genetics. A biotech researcher who suspected her business partner was selling their innovations to overseas manufacturers. I know this sounds paranoid, she said when I answered. Maybe I'm imagining things. Maybe I'm just stressed. But something feels wrong, and I don't know who else to trust. Tell me everything, I said, pulling out my notebook. Start from the beginning. What first made you suspicious? As she talked, I recognized the pattern. The small details that didn't align. The gut instinct dismissed as anxiety. The fear of seeming crazy by voicing concerns. You're not paranoid, I told her. And you're not imagining things. Let me help you find the truth. Because that's what I did now. I helped people see clearly through the fog of manipulation and deception. I turned my trauma into a tool that protected others. I took the worst thing that had ever happened to me and made it mean something. The woman Dexter had tried to destroy no longer existed. In her place stood someone he'd accidentally created, someone who would spend the rest of her life making sure others didn't suffer the same fate. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.